Hello and welcome to the 2022 Santa Clara County Point-in-Time Count Training. Thank you for joining us in this important effort to improve the understanding of homelessness in your county. The count will be conducted in two primary phases, separating the count and survey efforts. This training is focused on the count portion, and the survey training will be conducted at a later date. We will share additional details regarding the purpose and methodology as this training continues. In this training, we will cover the following: the purpose of the point-in-time count, the definition of homelessness used for the count, how to conduct the count, and reminders and next steps. There are several reasons why a point-in-time count is conducted. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, requires communities that receive federal funding for homeless services to conduct a point-in-time or PIT count of all persons experiencing homelessness during the last 10 days of January. This year, HUD has allowed all communities in the Bay Area to reschedule to February while the COVID surge declines. Counts of people who are unsheltered, meaning living outdoors, in vehicles, tents, or other similar locations neither intended or fit for human habitation, are currently required every other year. In addition to meeting federal requirements, the point-in-time count provides valuable data for community understanding of homelessness. Data on the extent, prevalence, and reasons for homelessness is also invaluable for local planning efforts and community understanding. This figure shows the different components that the count includes to make sure all people experiencing homelessness are represented in the count. You will be participating in the general street count, which is highlighted in the middle box on this slide. The general street count is a visual count of people who are currently unsheltered and will take place during the early morning hours on the day of the count, before people begin moving through their day and before people staying in shelters leave the facility. Timing and coordination are important to avoid duplication, so areas surrounding shelter locations should be counted first. Route timing is important and should be considered in pre-planning efforts. Rural regions and non-shelter areas may also be subject to special arrangements. We will discuss how your team should prioritize counting locations within your assigned count area, such as shelters, later in this presentation. The other components include the shelter count, the youth count, and the survey. The shelter count collects information on the number of people staying in shelter programs across the county. The youth count focuses on counting unaccompanied young people under the age of 25 and is typically done around 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. This is not available for general community participation at this time. Finally, the survey component is typically conducted in conjunction with the general street count. Surveys are conducted with a representative sample of people experiencing homelessness across the county and provide us with a more detailed understanding of the homeless experience and the diversity of the population and its characteristics throughout the region, including information on veterans, families with children, and people experiencing long-term homelessness. There are many changes to the methodology in order for us to conduct a PIT count in the midst of a pandemic. These changes are all designed to ensure the safety of all participants in the count. They include no large deployment sites, the pre-assignment of the majority of PIT routes or census tracts, emphasis on the outreach teams with lived experience guides and direct service program staff, the inclusion of the smartphone app Survey123 to be used for documenting observations of the team, and the team leader or designee will be the operator of the Survey123 observation app. The general street count is a visual count of people residing on the streets, in parks and open spaces, in tents, in vehicles, in abandoned buildings, or in makeshift shelters constructed of tarps, cardboard, or other materials. The street count will be conducted while people are still in public shelters in the morning, which will help us have an unduplicated count of everyone experiencing homelessness that day. To avoid duplication, we ask you to count the areas surrounding shelters first. As a reminder, volunteers will not be paid for their time, nor will volunteers be reimbursed for their mileage. Guides, who are individuals who have previously or are currently experiencing homelessness, will be paid a cash stipend upon completion of their count route. Here you can see what to expect on the morning of the count. Guides, program staff, and volunteers will arrive at 5 a.m., and the goal is to have you out the door and in the field as soon as possible so that your team has adequate time to cover your route. You will first access the Pit Count survey on the Survey 123 app. You will be able to access the app via a QR code or a web link. The app will ask you to verify health and safety information. After that, you will be asked to input your team number, which will be assigned to you prior to the count. We expect all teams to finish their routes by 9 a.m. Please call us if you think you need to be out any later than 9 a.m. or if you need additional help to complete your assignment. We strongly encourage you to conduct as thorough of a count of your assigned maps as you can. There are generally two different types of participants on each team during the general street count: volunteers and guides. This slide outlines the differences between guides and volunteers. A guide is an individual who has previously or is currently experiencing homelessness and uses their knowledge to identify individuals experiencing homelessness during the general street count. They will guide their team toward locations in their assigned count area where individuals experiencing homelessness are likely to be seen, and will help distinguish between safe and potentially dangerous situations. Guides are compensated for their time and contributions to the count in the form of a $20 per hour cash stipend. A volunteer will provide consultation and support in team decisions. They will be in charge of transporting their count team through their assignment and will help ensure that full coverage of the map is achieved and communicate with pit count organizers as needed. Please note that the volunteers are not paid for their participation in the count, nor do they receive gas or mileage reimbursement. Teams should note that because we are covering the entire geography of your county, there may be instances where the guide is not personally knowledgeable about the specific route the team is covering. However, guides are still able to draw on their first-hand experience of homelessness to help identify potential locations or persons based on previous experiences and signs in the environment. If a team is confused on whether or not a person should be included in the count, we ask them to collaborate within their team to make an informed decision. All team members are in charge of ensuring the methodology is being followed, and should designate one team member to be in charge of marking the tally sheet and one team member responsible for tracking the team's coverage of their count area. The next set of slides will outline how to use the data collection forms that you will use on the morning of the count. Each team will be assigned to specific routes and given maps of those routes. Your maps will be emailed to you and a link to a Google smartphone version will be sent as well. If there are issues printing the map, please email or contact alex@appliedsurveyresearch.org or call us at 877-728-4545 to make arrangements to get a hard copy map locally. Your route will be outlined. Please stay within the tracked border. Often, the boundary of your route is a street. If the borderline is a street, count the people on the inside of the street, or the side of the street that connects with the rest of your route. If there is someone moving back and forth across the street, you should count them. Please cover all areas. The count persons are persons who are experiencing homelessness or living in a place not meant for human habitation. This includes tents, vehicles, parks, sidewalks, etc. Be sure to drive or walk down every street. Count on both sides of the street unless it's a route border. Look for open areas. You may need to get out and walk. You decide the route you take. That route may depend on traffic or where shelters are. Be sure to cover areas around shelters first. It is a good idea to put an X on streets and areas once you've covered them, so you don't count them twice. If you are assigned to two contiguous maps, be sure to outline a route that will easily take you from one map to the other. When you first open the app, you will verify that you and all your teammates are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 by selecting Yes. If you have any questions about this, please call 877-728-4545. After that, you will then move on to the next screen by using the arrow button located in the bottom right corner of the survey. In the next screen, you are required to enter in your team number, which will be assigned to you within 72 hours of the count via email. Let's look at some examples of how to fill out the tally sheets. You will fill out one line per person that you see. In the first example, you observed one individual who appeared to be male in their 30s and was on the street. You start by bubbling in confirmed under confirmed or suspected. Next, you would bubble in individual, no children present, under individual or family. Under dwelling or vehicle type, you would bubble in outdoors. Under is this sighting part of an encampment, you would bubble in no. Under gender, you would bubble in male. Under age, you would bubble in 25 to 59. To move on to the next entry, you press the plus icon, which is located under the map in the bottom right area of your screen. Please note that for the purposes of the count, a family is defined as one adult present with a child under the age of 18. In the next example, you observed a family of 3 that included 2 adults over the age of 25 and 1 child under the age of 18 on the street. You start by filling in the bubble that says confirmed under confirmed or suspected. Next, you would bubble in family under individual or family. Under dwelling or vehicle type, you would bubble in outdoors. Under is this sighting part of an encampment, you would bubble in no. Under how many total family members, you would press the plus button 3 times to indicate that there are 3 total family members. Under age and gender of each family member, you would start with the first person and bubble in their age and gender. After bubbling in the first person, below the section age, there is a forward pointing arrow with a 1 out of 3 to the left of it. You would press this arrow and again bubble in the gender and age of the next person. After bubbling in the second person, you would press the forward arrow again to move on to the third person. After bubbling in the age and gender of the third person, you would press the plus icon in the bottom right area of your screen to finish the entry and move on to the next one. Listed here are some ways to identify vehicles that are housing individuals. We want to maintain a respectful distance, so please do not walk up and look inside the vehicle, knock on the vehicle doors or windows, or shine flashlights into the vehicle. Instead, here are some signs to look for that can indicate whether somebody is living inside the vehicle or not. A vehicle with windows that are fogged, partially open, or blocked. Electrical connections or generators. Screens or window coverings. Items inside and outside of the vehicle, including household items, bags, clothing, etc. Sounds of music or talking coming from inside the vehicle, or that the vehicle is in a known, safe parking location, which may be designated on your map. If you find a car, RV, or van that looks inhabited based on the signs detailed on the previous slide, but you cannot determine how many persons are residing in the vehicle, you start by pressing Suspected under Confirmed or Suspected. Next, under Dwelling or Vehicle Type, you would bubble in Car, RV, or Van, depending on what type of vehicle it is. Additionally, we ask that you record the last 4 digits of the license plate of each vehicle you include in the count. The reason we request that you document the last 4 digits of the license plate number is to help us avoid count duplication. Vehicles move quickly, and this helps ensure vehicles are not counted twice. The field for listing the last 4 digits of the license plate number is located below the section entitled Dwelling or Vehicle Type. After that, you would submit the entry and move on to the next one by pressing the plus button in the bottom right area of your screen. We take the privacy and confidentiality of people experiencing homelessness seriously. Please note that vehicles are not traceable or able to be tracked down using these numbers. Additionally, these numbers are only for use by the research consultant team from Applied Survey Research and will not be shared with any persons, organizations, or authorities outside of ASR. An encampment is defined as 2 or more tents or makeshift shelters that are grouped together. In this example, you observed an individual who appeared to be male and in his 30s outside a tent. You also observed a tent directly next to his with an individual who appeared to be male and in his 60s standing outside of that tent. You start by bubbling in Confirmed under Confirmed or Suspected. Next, under Individual or Family, you would bubble in Individual. Under Dwelling or Vehicle Type, you would bubble in Tent or Makeshift Structure. Under Is this sighting part of an encampment, you would bubble in Yes. Under Gender, you would bubble in Male. Under Age, you would bubble in 25 to 59. At the bottom of the survey, there is a plus button you could press to add another individual. It is located under the map. After adding the next individual, repeat the same steps you just did except under age, you would bubble in 60 plus to indicate that you believe the second individual is in his 60s. To complete the entry, you would press the plus button in the bottom right area of the screen. In the second example, you observe 3 tents together but do not see any individuals. In this case, you start by bubbling in Suspected under Confirmed or Suspected. Under Dwelling or Vehicle Type, you would bubble in Tent or Makeshift Structure. After that, You press the plus button located under the map to indicate another tent, and repeat these steps for the next 2 tents or structures. Safety is a top priority while out in the field. Please take note of the following items when you are out conducting the count. Please be safe and do not take any risks. Do not approach individuals and ask them if they are experiencing homelessness. Please observe and document observations only. Do not take photos while out in the field to protect the privacy of those being counted. Please keep all locations and information confidential and do not discuss them after the count in social media or other public forums. Stay with your teammates, be respectful of those you are counting, and if you have any problems or questions, call your deployment captain. Once again, safety comes first for all count participants. If an area seems too unsafe to cover, do not enter it. Mark the area on your map to show your deployment center captain when you are completed with the count. Some of these areas will have special teams to cover them. If you have a true emergency, please call 911 and then notify your deployment center captain when appropriate. Here are a few tips on how to prepare for the count. Wear comfortable shoes and clothing. Dress warmly. Wear a jacket, sweatshirt, raincoat, gloves, hat, etc. It is the winter. Each team should have one designated vehicle to transport its members through the route. Bring a fully charged cell phone. Bring a flashlight. Bring and wear your mask. You may also want to bring hand sanitizer to support COVID safety. The count will happen rain, snow, or shine, so be sure to bring an umbrella or cold weather gear if necessary. And of course, be sure to get plenty of rest the night before. We will be in touch with you regarding any specific deployment location information, as well as reminders as we approach the day of the count. Please feel free to contact us at the listed email or phone number with any questions. Thank you in advance for your participation in the 2022 Santa Clara County Point-in-Time Count. Please encourage your friends, family, and colleagues to join us in this year's count by directing them to the volunteer registration link. We couldn't do this without you, and we look forward to seeing you.